Welcome. Today I'll be ranking every single enemy from easiest to hardest in Pixel Survival 2. So yeah, here we are, ranking enemies from easiest to hardest in Pixel Survival 2. So the first enemy on the list is the slime. I'm going to put it on super easy just because of its attack speed and how much damage it does and its health. Its health only has 10 HP. It's probably one of the easiest enemy. And this is probably the first enemy you ever saw when you started Pixel Survival 2. It's not a really big main obstacle, but it's really easy. And that includes on super easy as the mummy, as the same as slime. Now, this enemy is a little bit hard. It dashes, it stops in place and dashes at you, which I think is really easy. I mean, seriously, you have enough time to react for him. It's not as fast as like the scorpion I'm going to show you next, but it's not really a main big obstacle to avoid. So the next one is the scorpion. I'll call it the scorpion because I don't know what else to announce it. I'm going to put it on easy just because of its how much damage it does when you start off the game. Now, if you're like really good at the game, I'll put this on super easy, but on easy it'll be. I mean, it's not really a big main obstacle, but it's when you face against it, it's pretty hard to defend yourself. And the next ones on our list is actually the stones from Survival Grasslands and Grasslands 2 and 3. You know them from Grasslands 2 and 3, and this enemy is probably one of the most forgotten enemies. Now I would put them on normal just because they're probably not that. I mean, they're pretty easy to, not that really easy to avoid, but they can still kill you at any moment. They come out of nowhere like most of the times when you first got into Grasslands 2 and 3, and overall, they're not really that big of an obstacle. They're just pretty of annoying side, and not to mention that they have like no health, like they cannot die. So the next enemy on our list is a blue spiker bro. I'll call it that name because I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name. I'll put it on normal just because I'm gonna put it on normal just because their attack speed is insanely fast. For some reason, I always manage to have 10 of them bombarding me when I'm trying to mine an erbium gold. Because the reason why I don't kill them is because like most of their drops are literally trash, and I don't bother to kill them or pick them up. And the reason why I kill the eyes or hands because they actually have a chance to drop something good, like one of the characters, and it's annoying because I have to two-shot them every time I have to kill them, and they're pretty annoying. I do not like them in hell. So the next enemy is the worm. I'll put it on hard just for starters, and for me, exactly, I always have to like three-shot them in hell, and they get really annoying, and their loot isn't that good. And the reason why I put them on hard is because that if you have like 30 or 40 defense, they can probably do a decent amount of damage, like 10 or like 15 damage, and they drain your health a lot, and they're pretty scary to like face against, especially when you're first starting the game out. And yeah, that's why they're annoying. So our next enemy is a UFO. I'll put it on easy just because that for the flying enemies, every time you hit them with a knockback weapon, they go flying up, and they're pretty not really much of a difficult obstacle to face against. The UFO in Darklands only has 80 HP, and it's not that really big of a deal when you get hit by them. I mean, when you get hit by them, they do pretty much a lot of damage like the worm, but you'll probably never get hit by them only if you have like a moonblade, because that weapon has a lot of range on it. Okay, so the next enemy is the zombie from Darklands, and the reason why this enemy is pretty easy because he doesn't really have that much a lot of HP, and he does not really a lot of damage, but it's almost impossible for him to hit you because every time when I face against him, he always just jumps right over me, and it's pretty hilarious like how he most of the time he can't even hit me. So yeah, that's why I put him on super easy. Okay, for our next enemy is the shadows from hell, mainly from hell. Now the reason why I put it on hard because half the time you can't even see it. Now I don't know why is hell in dark blue background. Now I understand the theme of it. Now the reason why I really hate about it is because when you're going through, you can barely see them. Now if you're on really high brightness, you can see it, but if you're on a low brightness, you can't even see them. Like I'm sorry, but good luck seeing them. And every time like a new player joins my public lobby that I go through hell, I know they're gonna die because Cowbean's internet's service garbage when you're not the host, and they can hit you like from 20 miles away, and even though they're not even near you. So that's why I put it on hard. Our next enemy on the list is the Witch from Hell, mainly from Hell, and the reason why I put it on easy just because of his attack speed is really slow. Now it doesn't really have that much HP, but it has like probably like 600 HP probably. Now I'll say these enemies are annoying because when you farm in survival grasslands, they force you to not be AFK in survival grasslands, which is pretty annoying, but I understand that. I understand that, but maybe they're not really a big obstacle to avoid. And yeah, that's why I put it on easy. For our next enemy on the list is the Mrs. I from Hell. Now I'll put it on hard just because of its tankiness. It actually has a lot of HP and it does a lot of damage, especially the crit damage for those mid-average players out there that's watching. There's nothing much else to say except the damage and health, and that's pretty much it for Mrs. I. For our next enemy on the list is the Hand from Hell. I'll put it on hard just because when you see it, it charges at you really fast, and it's honestly really hard to escape from him. Unless you have to kill him, because you're forced to kill him, because he'll be on you until you die. It doesn't have that much attack speed or health or damage it does to you, but I'll say it's harder than Mrs. I in my opinion. Our next enemy on the list is the Ghast. I'll put it on hard because of how annoying it is when I'm trying to defeat enemies, and they're just always in the way, and I'm just forced to kill them when every time I see them. Like, luckily they have a really long range, and they can all just pop up in one spot and just kill them. So yeah, that's why I put on hard, because of how annoying they are. The next enemy on the list is the Tsunami. You already know it's on really hard. Now, of course, everyone will say it's health and damage, and I would say that too. Their damage is a lot, and their crit is even worse. I have the armor that I have on right now. They do the most of 30 damage, which is ridiculous. And luckily, they don't have as much health. And when you have like 2 other people, you can basically like kill them really fast. But in all, this enemy is really hard. Our next enemy is the Butterfly. Now I will put it on. No, I'm gonna put on normal. Now before this game got patched, now apparently there was a bug in the game where it did not take any knockback. If that would be really likely really hard, but it got fixed, and it is normal now, which I'm glad. Now the reason why it's on normal, and because let's talk about the bad things about it. It does a lot of damage. Even if you have full defense, it'll still do a lot of damage still. Like, it'll still one-shot you with full snow armor. And that's basically what I have to say. Now, luckily it does take knockback, which if you have the Moonblade, you can just knock back him and it'll be all good to go. And yeah, that's why I put it on normal. For our next enemy on the list is the Iceman. I'll put this on really hard because of its damage and how much health it has. Now, the reason why I'll put this on really hard, because you never know when they're going to attack you. They can attack you at any moment, and knockback doesn't really work on the ice bat, despite that if you knock back, I mean, it does some, but it can literally just come back to you at any moment. Now, the good things about this enemy is that if they're down below and on top, they're actually really easy to kill them because they have nowhere else to go, and they can give you really good loot like Erbium or the pink egg. And so yeah, that's pretty much it about the enemy. The next enemy on the list is the Tornado. Now, this will I'll surprise a lot of you because it's on hard. The reason why this enemy is on hard, because it does not do a lot of damage as during Tsunamis. The max damage it can do, I think it's about 53, and if you have the armor that I have right now, it does not do as much damage as the Tsunamis. Now, it can crit you for not really a lot of damage, but the max crit it can do to me is probably about 10. The enemy has a lot more HP, but it is still pretty easy to kill, especially if you're not really good at the game. But if you have like 2 armor rings and armor that you have on yourself, it is really easy to kill, except because there's more Tsunamis than Tornadoes, which this enemy is not really big of a threat to kill. And a good thing about this is it can drop volcanic ore, and it doesn't jump. I mean, I think it jump higher than the Tsunamis. I'm not really sure, but I don't think it's a really hard obstacle to avoid. The next enemy on the list is the Snow. I'll call it the Snowball. Now, the reason why I'll put this on easy, just because it's not unlike the Ice Bat. It doesn't come down at any moment when it can. If you hit this enemy, it goes flying up like the Butterfly, and it won't be a really big of a threat. Now, the reason why it's not on super easy, because if you're new to the game, it can one-shot you, and it has a lot of health, which is really annoying to kill. The next enemy on the list is the Ghost from Ghost Arena. I'll put this on really hard only for Ghost 2. Now Ghost 1 will be on hard, but I'm just going to add both of them to on really hard. Now the reason why it's on really hard because how much health they have, they give you barely like any time to kill them before the boss spawns, because when the boss spawns and they're there, they are absolutely really annoying. Hopefully you're playing with good people, because if you're not, this will be way harder and you'll probably die. And the only reason why I hate Ghost 2 is they do a lot of damage. They probably do like 5 or 10 damage if you have max defense, which is pretty ridiculous in my opinion. So yeah, that's why it's on really hard. For our next enemy is the Pharaoh. Yeah, wow, a hard enemy is an easy enemy. I'll put this enemy, of course, as super easy because of its damage and its health it has. I think it has the same health as Slimes, I believe, and his attack doesn't, his damage is probably 1 or 2, depending on if you have no armor or anything. This enemy is probably annoying to new players because with people with a plunger, if you attack it goes really far and you got to wait. Now the really good things about this enemy is that it can drop monster scales or fire crystals, which the monster scales you can switch to fire crystals and make Pharaoh to make good stuff. And yeah, that's why I put it on super easy. The next enemy on the list is the squid. I'll say it's a squid with goggles on because that's what it exactly looks like. This enemy is probably one of the forgotten enemies because it only appears in Darklands, Ruin, and Survival Grasslands. This enemy is pretty standard, doesn't really have that much health, but its damage can tend to a lot of damage to your player if you don't have enough defense. This enemy is pretty standard and is pretty easy to kill. The next enemy on the list is the Baz. We're getting into the enemies that are forgotten. Now I have nothing else to say for this enemy, but it flies, and if you attack it, it takes knockback, and I think it's pretty annoying. And when the night is finally over, you're trying to gather those resources, but they're still there, and they tend to have a lot of health. I think they probably have like 500 HP, I believe, but yeah, again, these enemies tend to be a lot annoying for those new players. The next enemy is the Fireball, aka the Dragon Ball. I'm going to put this on normal with the Dark Witch. Now, the reason why I put this on normal and not the Witch, because they don't really spawn often as the Fireballs and the Dark Witches. Which again, the Witches spawn with the Dragon Balls and the Dark Witch too. These enemies are standard. They just shoot fires. They just have a cooldown every time they shoot. The only reason I put it higher, again, because they tend to spawn in groups a lot. If you try to ignore them, they can actually spawn a lot and take about like 30 damage to you if there's a lot of them grouped together. So yeah, that's why I'm going to put them on normal. For the last enemy is the Shadow. I am going to put this on hard as the Shadow. Now the only reason why I'm going to put that as the same is why I did the same enemy is because this enemy is way harder than the Hell Shadow. But the only good thing is that it actually does not blend in like in Hell. This enemy does way much more damage than the Shadows from Hell. I don't know why they buffed them. I'm pretty sure they buffed it because when I played it like a while ago, they did not do that much damage. But when I had my old armor on my armor set that I had on my grinding video, they tended to do like 13 damage to me, which is ridiculous. So yeah, I ranked every single enemy from easiest to hardest in Pixel Rival 2. If you guys want more of these videos, let me know in the comments below if you guys want more. And again, please like and subscribe if you like today's video, and I'm surely to make more in the future. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.